Good evening, this is the evening for August 6, 2026. I'm your host, and we'll walk through the night's most notable stories, drawing on the reporting behind each headline. We begin in Washington, where the Senate Homeland Security Committee voted along party lines to hold Dr. Anthony Fauci in contempt of Congress. All 8 Republicans on the panel supported the measure, the 5 Democrats present opposed it. The resolution states that Fauci's refusal to answer questions during a hearing last week constituted a failure to comply with a congressional subpoena, a misdemeanor punishable by up to 12 months in prison. During that hearing, Fauci invoked his Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination more than 100 times. Chairman Senator Rand Paul and his allies have long accused Fauci of funding research in China that sparked the coronavirus pandemic and of lying to Congress about it, accusations he denies. Republicans now argue that a pardon Fauci received in the final hours of the Biden administration prevents him from refusing to answer their questions. Shifting to Tennessee, voters headed to the polls in redrawn districts after a Supreme Court decision weakened the Voting Rights Act. For the first time in years, no Democrat is favored to win a House seat in November. The new map split deep blue Memphis into multiple districts dominated by Republican voters. Analysts point to a freshly drawn district that stretches from outside Nashville to Memphis as potentially the closest contest this fall. In that district, Republican Andy Ogles, who holds President Trump's endorsement, faces a well-funded challenger, Charlie Hatcher, a former state agriculture commissioner backed by Governor Bill Lee. Ogles has drawn criticism for inflammatory anti-Muslim and anti-immigrant remarks and is under investigation for campaign finance issues. The winner of today's primary is expected to meet Democratic nominee Chaz Mulder in the general election. Turning to Europe, a severe drought has driven the Rhine River to its lowest recorded level since measurements began in 1880. The river, a vital economic artery that carries millions of tons of cargo each year through 6 countries, now forces shippers to charge more while carrying less, straining cities across the region. Low water has also exposed parts of World War II-era shipwrecks in the Danube, disrupting energy supplies in Hungary and Romania. In Germany, the receding waters revealed a fishing boat that sank in 1996, a stark reminder of how climate extremes are uncovering hidden history. Closer to home, adventure seekers in Alaska are talking about a tidal bore in Tinigan Arm south of Anchorage that can carry a surfer for an hour, though it can also be deadly. The phenomenon, known locally as a twice-daily tidal wave, funnels through a narrow inlet off the Pacific Ocean. Surfers describe the sensation as feeling like the entire ocean is pushing them forward. One writer who has chased the wave for more than 15 years said, "It's magical, man." Journalists have traveled north to document the attempts, noting the dangers posed by frigid water and strong currents, and questioning how long authorities will allow surfers to ride the wave now that its secret is more widely known. In military personnel news, the share of women nominated for the Armed Forces' top-ranking posts has fallen to its lowest point in at least 25 years. Of the 201 nominees for high-ranking positions this year, only 8 are women, under 4%. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has repeatedly blocked promotions for high-ranking women, arguing that the Pentagon's past diversity efforts have degraded the military. He remarked last year, "For too long, we've promoted too many uniformed leaders for the wrong reasons, based on their race, based on gender quotas, based on historic so-called firsts." The Trump administration continues to reshape policy on 2 fronts. First, the president signed 2 executive orders targeting birthright citizenship, aiming to overturn the long-standing principle that anyone born on U.S. soil is a citizen. Second, officials announced they will move forward with a plan to eliminate hundreds of federal regulations governing Head Start, the 61-year-old anti-poverty program. The proposed changes would strip away most of Head Start's 133 pages of federal requirements covering math and literacy curricula, class sizes, medical screenings, home visits, and even the rule that children brush their teeth after meals. Back in the nation's capital, scrutiny fell on the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool after its recent renovation appeared to fail. Reports indicate that water leakage and structural issues surfaced shortly after the work was completed, raising questions about the quality of the repairs. In a striking scientific development, researchers have used artificial intelligence to design viruses that do not exist in nature. By training an AI model on vast libraries of DNA sequences and then asking it to generate recipes for viral genomes, the team produced 16 sequences that, when synthesized, yielded viable new viruses. The work, published in the journal Science, opens new avenues for studying antiviral drugs and vaccines, but also raises concerns that the same technology could one day be used to create dangerous pathogens. Moving to international affairs, the Iran-backed Houthi militia in Yemen launched attacks on the Yemeni military in two resource-rich provinces, Marib and Hadramaut, threatening to reignite the country's long-simmering civil war. The strikes targeted several camps and units of the internationally recognized government's armed forces, escalating violence that had been held in a fragile truce. Domestically, Senator Mitch McConnell announced he had been discharged from a rehabilitation facility after an almost 8-week medical absence. The Kentucky Republican said he would continue recovering at home during the Senate's August recess, maintaining an intensive physical therapy regimen while staying in touch with staff and colleagues on Senate business. In the world of social media, Sydney Tall, who documented her battle with cholangiocarcinoma, a rare bile duct cancer, on TikTok, died at the age of 26. Her passing, from complications of metastatic bile duct cancer, was announced on her own channels. Tall had used her platform to challenge viewers to reconsider how a cancer patient should look in live, amassing over 1 million followers. Ahead of the World Cup final, FIFA executives were summoned to a hastily arranged meeting at the Waldorf Astoria in Manhattan and given an ultimatum to sign off on a controversial multi-billion-dollar privatization project. The 5 men, who make up the FIFA Bureau of the Management Board, were expected to be in a celebratory mood after a record-breaking tournament, but instead faced pressure to approve a plan that could reshape soccer's governance. Health news brought a setback for a promising heart drug. Ziltivekimab, which reduces inflammation, was tested in a large trial and found to be no better than a placebo. The result has experts questioning whether inflammation truly drives atherosclerosis or merely serves as a marker, much like gray hair indicates aging without causing it. Legal observers are watching a brewing First Amendment battle over vanity license plates. Virginia has asked the Supreme Court to hear a dispute concerning a 7-character plate message. The case involves Curtis Waitley, who paid the state $10 in 2023 for a personalized plate and sought to convey a statement expressing his opinion on the current state of policing in the country. Courts nationwide are split on whether and how states may regulate the messages displayed on these plates. In Wyoming, a transgender woman is being prosecuted after she drew a gun following a shove to the ground. The state's Stand Your Ground statute permits the use of force in self-defense, and the incident has sparked debate over how the law applies in cases involving gender identity. Down in Brazil, an unusual scene unfolded in a state legislature in Mato Grosso when 2 giant rodents, capybaras, wandered into the building. Weighing up to 150 pounds, capybaras are the world's largest rodents, semi-aquatic, and feed on grasses and vegetables. Reports say the animals were polite during their unexpected visit, more curious than disruptive. Now for a lighter note, this week's movie offerings are notably brief. Critics have praised Tony, a film about a young Anthony Bourdain stumbling into a kitchen in 1975, as an utterly charming little experience lasting 1 hour and 46 minutes. Late Fame, starring Willem Dafoe as a former poet who finds connection with a group of aspiring young artists, runs 1 hour and 36 minutes. Finally, The Last Picture Shows, a documentary celebrating old-school movie houses and their fight for survival, is 1 hour and 18 minutes long. All 3 are Times critics' picks, leaving plenty of time for a beach trip afterward. Yankees fans, meanwhile, have voiced strong disapproval of their general manager. A recent survey showed more than 90% disapprove of Brian Cashman, whose contract ends this year, despite the team's 4 World Series wins over 28 years and a record of no losing seasons. Fans say they expect more from the franchise, and that the club no longer feels like the unstoppable Goliath that once fueled rivalries with Red Sox supporters. Our dinner table conversations could start with a look at the evolution of tarot. An exhibition at the Morgan Library and Museum shows how the cards, once a courtly game played by Italian nobility, mostly women, featuring handcrafted illustrations of figures like Death, the Chariot, and the Emperor, later became a tool for spiritual divination. The decks, created around 1442, cost roughly 1,500 ducats, 10 times the yearly salary of an average courtier at the time. Staying on the theme of safety, a music festival in British Columbia has introduced free drug testing kits to detect contaminants in substances like ketamine, MDMA, and LSD. While the initiative offers peace of mind, organizers acknowledge it cannot eliminate all risk, especially given the prevalence of such substances at raves. The word scam continues to expand in everyday speech. Beyond traditional fraud, it is now used to describe any system where someone profits at another's expense. Examples range from claims that alcohol is a scam to the surprising popularity of a $1.42 reusable bag from a Canadian hardware store. That bag became a summer accessory after a star from the show Heated Rivalry, Hudson Williams, was photographed carrying it, sparking a wave of imitators. If you're looking for things to do tonight, Consider baking a buttery chocolate chip coffee cake, which works equally well for breakfast or dessert. For readers, a terrific new mystery novel such as We Will See You Bleed offers a gripping escape. If your knees are aching, experts advise figuring out the exact source of the pain, whether from cartilage wear, soft tissue injury, or arthritis, and then following tailored recommendations for management. Keeping your kitchen knives sharp is easier with Wirecutter's favorite sharpener, ensuring clean cuts and safer handling. For those dreaming of a new home, you might browse listings of Alabama properties priced around $800,000, imagining what an empty nester couple could afford in booming areas like Huntsville. And before you call it a night, why not play a quick round of connections, spelling bee, or the mini crossword to keep the mind engaged? Finally, we return to that Alaskan wave. As we heard earlier, the tidal bore in Tinigan Arm can carry a surfer for an hour, offering a rare, exhilarating ride that feels like the ocean itself is at your back. Yet the same currents that create the thrill also pose serious hazards, especially in cold, turbulent water. Journalists who have gone to document the sport note the delicate balance between the wave's allure and its danger, leaving us to wonder how long regulators will permit surfers to chase this natural phenomenon. That's a wrap on tonight's edition of The Evening. Thanks for listening. I'll be back tomorrow with more stories to help you make sense of the day. Good night.